Hello everyone, happy to see you on my third lesson. And we will be talking about V-Ray materials. And we'll go into details on the main material we'll be using. We'll be working with light passing materials, water, plastic. Perhaps we will make a mirror with a piece of parts of water on it, ice, maybe some liquid materials, vegetable oil. So let's look at the scenes. Okay. So this is a very unique time digital sphere. No one besides me has worked on it. You will be the first to test it. You'll have a special ball for the cloth work and a special for woodwork. So let's see what it looks like. So it looks like this kind of ball. And we have this kind of plot in our scene. And we also have some lights. When you get the scene, don't touch anything besides the parameters that you'll see yourself. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask them on the forum. So leave most of the stuff as is. And if you're having some render problems, ask me or set them yourself. So let's render our ball. I won't be closing the stack. So I don't have the iterations set in the viewport. So, and it will be smoothing during render. So let's check out what it looks like. And once again, I'll say that this ball is unique and made for Time Digital. It's specially made to have very deliberate reflection effects. So how smooth it is defines how sensitive it is to global illumination. Let's change our bucket a bit. Let's make a copy. And check this roughness to 1. So let's check how it works towards the global illuminations wise. And as you see, it barely has any shadows. So, as you see with roughness on, it got gray. We also might be doing dusty glass effects in this lesson. Okay, let's make it to 0, return it, and let's see how reflect works. So, as you remember, black means it's completely unseeable, unreflective. Since IR is on, let's click this. We'll have Fresnel reflections on, and let's see how different the effect is. So how Fresnel reflections are different from simple reflections. So HDRI. And you have those blicks, and when you have the angle made smaller, it gets brighter. This is going to be a fairly long lesson because it takes time to render. So I'll just set this a bit lower, the resolution, to make it a bit faster. Let's click the Fresnel. Okay. And you have this mirror-like surface, and it is a mirror material. So this is how you achieve with a fully white reflect a mirror material. Okay. So let's check out how we have the Fresnel break. Okay, click this. Fresnel IOR. Let's go to 20. As you see on the preview, how the reflections aren't that bright, and it's a fully mirror-like surface, and it's still dependent on the angle of view, but not that much. So say you're using values of IR from 20 to 50, they go for the metals. Okay, let's make the main material a bit darker. Let's select oscillus. And now you get something that looks like metal. So this is what we are going to be doing during our work. Let's make refract a bit lesser. Let's make glossy to 1. Put this to 1. So I made a big blick, put this to 12. And you're getting a blick. So, and you get a nice reflection. It's kind of like a car paint. So this blick from the light is a highlight glossy. And here the full reflection is reflect glossy. As you see, the blick is kind of spread out. Don't have any glossy here. So the subdivs influence what the quality of the reflection are. So you have to turn up the other parameters. Okay, let's have glossiness. Okay, so 12. Let's just check out. And you see the amount of noise. Let's make it to 50. And let's see how smooth it got. Smoother the reflection got. It's completely smooth. So as you see, with reflection glossiness, you get a nicer kind of effect. More subs. Let's look at interpolation. Let's look at this piece here. Let's see how fast it got counted. Okay, 9 seconds here. So when we get 9 set interpolation to 9, we turned on interpolation, it got 3 times as faster, the render. But as you see, right here, we are having this kind of effect. So if you want to do interpolation on test, so you can use it to speed it up, but I wouldn't recommend it using it on the final versions of your project. You can try dim distance yourself. I probably won't be elaborating on it. We don't really need it. So let's look at some other settings. Let's try refract. Let's click Fresnel. Refract. Turn it to white. Black is completely unseeable. And white is fully visible. So as you see, we are getting glass. Let's make the Fresnel a bit lower. Let's just turn on the check mark. So the IOR is a bit lower here. The breakage coefficient. So you get this kind of thing here. So this is the standard glass material with the full reflect off. And refract is completely to the maximum. So if you're in a hurry, you can just set this to maximum and it will be a pretty fine piece of glass. Set these parameters to the way they are set here, that is. So it's a fairly nice glass. So it can be a bit cotton looking, but that's because of our radiance map. So we got the glass material here. So this kind of material is very nice for just a quick glass. But if you want to make it a bit more complex, let's just add a bit of black to our glass. Just a bit of color. A bit of glossiness here. A bit less see-through. It's going to be a bit longer to render. So I'm probably not going to wait while the whole thing loads. And just look at how it looks from this side. Let's set the interpolation. So, as you see, it does take a bit longer to work. That's why I don't want to elaborate on it. So, but I do recommend you to do some experiments on yourself. You will be doing them. Okay, just go. Finally, okay, finally it seems to be almost done. I made a diffuse white too, so that refracts smaller, so that everything that isn't reflecting gets us a slightly black kind of a color. It's a bit too glossy. And the glossiness prevents us from giving grading our material. But let's look at what we have on the underneath of it, on the lower side of it. Okay, we'll just check the material here. So it's going to be this kind of cool black. I won't be elaborating on, but you'll have to do something on with your handwork. Okay, let's see the glossiness of the object. Okay, let's try doing this material for this another kind of surface. Okay, I'll go from 0.75 here. Okay, let's make it a bit smaller. This is going to be just simply white. I just don't want this to take a lot to render. V-Ray frame buffer here. Just count it here, part of it. So it's very glossy. Let's make it a bit smaller. Okay, this will go to 0.7. So I want to have the forms of the object that we see on the back. You can just move it a bit closer. That we see the percentage of how glossy we want our material to be. So say we want a glossy kind of glass. So let's wait a bit more. So I believe it will help us see a bit more about the material. And after this test, we'll see how use interpolation works. So it's going to take about a minute. And use interpolation will help us. Okay, spend a lot less time. So the form of our sphere Okay, let's just look at this. So it looks kind of plastic. So this is how you get a glossy effect for a glossy surface. So let's I forgot to add a white material to our sphere. So 220, 35 is the time. So with use interpolation on. Okay, a bit more waiting. So you don't really use glossiness in interior design. You usually use glass. So glossy glass is usually uncommon. I can't really remember the last project I've used glossy glass on. Just how it works. Just what possibilities V-Ray material has. Because projects, well, they are different. Since you don't want to encounter any problems, we are testing all of this stuff right now. So a bit more left. And we are all waiting for this. Yeah, I see that irradiance map is also taking quite a while to do. So you can see just how much faster the render hot. But during breakpoints, uh, they are horrible. There is so much noise, so much of this cotton effect. Okay, so use interpolation is we see how it works. See the form, glossiness to 1. Okay, for color here, fog color. So let's make a refract. Just make it kind of pink here. And see how it changes our objects. Right. So now that we are rendering our whole picture, so as you see, it got it. It's all pink now. So 0, 1 here. The influence of the color on the glass will be less effective. So let's tone the glass. So let's see, check out what we want on the edges. So fog multiplier here by 1. Let's just change it. And 0, 0, 2 here. And render it. And we can see that the color barely influences us. And we're getting some pink effects in the color of the glass. But that's not enough to fully color it. But it all depends on the color you choose. Sometimes using full colors, natural colors, this effect works slightly different. And you'll get a much lesser effects going. And as you see, we have it so most of our glass is still white, and white one on the fog multiplier. So you can see that effect. Okay, 5 over here. So as you see, we have gotten quite the change of the light, and it's all a bit more dispersed, more spread out. So let's put this to 1. So when you set these parameters to a bit higher, you get kind of a disperse effect, and so it gets the effect of reducing the fog color. So let's wait a while and get a small part of it rendered. So as you see, fog here's 1 and 0. The one on the left has a much stronger color, as you see. You see, fog bears what equals 1 on the right. Okay, fog bias. Let's go to 0 over here, and let's see how translucency works. Let's make the refract a bit lower. This goes here. Let's change the glossiness this way. Okay. White. Let's make it red. Reflect. Hardbox model. So we have this breaking coefficients. Okay. So we'll have 1000 set in the thickness, and that will be enough to check out how the material works. So we'll have to set a lighter after this object to check out how this material works. And we'll put a light inside. So let's kind of give it a candle effect. So let's make a sphere. Okay, let's put it here inside. So we've got it, we've hollowed it out. We've got a diffuse effect. Invisible. Make it kind of a warm light. So now we see a color. Okay, 20 here. So, and let's render this part. Translucency. So we have a white color in the translucency. So our object gets white during translucency. So you can see how the light passes through our object. Let's just render it and check this out. Let's make it a bit stronger. So as you see, the light is passing even more of the object. Okay, let's make it refract a bit lighter. So the object passes more light as more you increase the parameter of the translucency. Let's just check this out, how this works. Okay, 35. Just getting the color a bit more deliberate. So let's just do it this way. We just want the light to pass. We want to see the border of our object and our light, so you can see how the light is passing it with these settings. So we got a bit of light going on here. So let's change the light here. Make it, let's say, bright blue. So the whole object, when we have light leaking through it, has a slightly blue kind of touch to it. So where the influence of the light isn't very strong, it's the same color that we get on the diffuse, that we have on the diffuse. Okay, so, but in other places it gets the blue kind of color. So you get this kind of parameter set here. Okay, so we got the light multiplier. And let's see how our picture changes. So we've got a bit more strength. When we increase the strength of the effect also enhances. So it's a quick SSS material that allows us to make this kind of light passing materials. Okay, let's make the blick a bit better. Let's make it 80 over here. So we want the material to have the kind of plastic kind of thing effect. And we want it to be like a material. So this material can be used for candles, for all different types of plastic. Sometimes it isn't used in order to save time. You just use two-sided materials to replace this. But you should pay attention to the thickness of two-sided materials. Two-sided materials also help save time for the renderer. So I've changed the values to the plastic here. So, and by this we can achieve several kinds of effects. We can, okay, let's increase this to 80, the power. So now it's even brighter. Okay, so in some parts we get this effect. And you get this kind of nice effect over here. So in this fashion, you can achieve the material you want. And there's also soft water model. It's used when you want something more reflective. Okay, let's go with refract. make this blue. Let's make some translucency. But since it's more reflective and more glossy, and you get the soft model. You'll be using this to achieve the light ice kind of effect. But it does take quite a while to render because it takes about 40 minutes on my computer. So you don't have any glossiness here. Translucency. Okay, and just see how it works. So, and you got the normal kind of surface done. So it's absolutely a normal kind of plastic. So you got the translucency here. You got the parameter here. You don't really use this for the interior, but it can often be used for different kinds of leaves or grass, say. But otherwise, there isn't much space for play for the interior. But it is an interesting, definitely, material. Also, you can use it to make stuff for yourself, like big seams, big first seams. Like a scene where a statue passes light on its borders, edges. Let's move back our ball and do some diffuse. Let's do some none on the this is none on the translucency. Let's make it white here. So you can have self-illumination here too. So let's make it. Okay. And do some reflections. Okay, multiplier 5 here. Let's make it a bit stronger. So this parameter works a bit differently. Okay, let's go V-Ray light material separately. And let's continue going further. Let's go to options. And let's check out our settings here. These ones are not interesting to us. Reflect on backside here. Let's make it completely glassy, since we don't have Fresnel fraction on. Okay, reflect on backside, F3, and check this out. Since it's a two-side material, both of them will be reflecting. So instead of one blick, we have a second blick of our lamp that is behind the camera. But it does require additional time. It does depend on you. But it does give you some additional, it does make it a bit more realistic. So you have this reflect on backside done. That's how the material looks with the reflect on backside turned on. So you can look at the type of reflexes here. So we have this white color here. So a sphere with no kind of reflections or light breaks. Just see how it works. And check out how the different systems work. So we did try the blend kind of reflection already. So let's render a small part of it. So here, because we have the blick there, and try this material here. And check out how the blend type works. So let's save it. Let's make a font here. So it's a bit more glance. The blicks are okay. We got more glance here. The blicks have changed. So we just changed. Okay, let's go here. Let's go with Word. It's the most glossy one of all. Okay, you can just immediately see it. That blick is very kind of spread out, watery. So you got these reflections. So the material by Word is for rocks and stuff like that. Concrete. Okay. Let's look how anisotropy works. So let's do some of the reflection work. Blick 7. Anisotropy here. Okay. So as you see, the blocks have changed. We got the forms. And we'll just switch it to the other side. So you get this effect on stainless kind of stuff or polished materials. As you see, there's a bit of a, they are a bit kind of curved, however. So let's make a copy of it. And change the angle. And render it. And look at how the form of the blick and preview. So the blicks are more horizontally oriented now. And you can notice so by this you can choose what kind of anisotropy you wish to have. And you can set the material in the way you want. So here you have the types of axes and the softener. And the reflections types. Maps. Okay, and control them. So here you can just quickly change the different types of maps you are using into interpolation. And that seems to be about all about this material. And in the next part of the material, in the next part of the course, we will be working with materials. The material that will be transparent materials. So I hope to see you during our next lesson, and thank you for watching.